What's going on, everybody? Today we got ourselves another football talk, and today we're going with the top 10 most underrated players in the Premier League. Now, we're going to talk about 10 different players, and hopefully you guys can semi-agree that some of these players are a bit underrated. If not, let me know in the comments how you guys feel and who do you think is underrated if they're not on this list. And we'll talk about it down there as well. Now, this is going to be in no particular order. It's just going to be 10 players, and we're just going to run right on into them. So let's not waste any more time, and let's jump right into the list. Wilfried Zaha, the winger at Crystal Palace. He's the heartbeat of this team, and frankly, Crystal Palace have done pretty well to keep him around. There was a bit of a contract issue a couple years back. He's still here at the club, though I'm not sure how long he'll be there. There's rumored interest from Dortmund. I personally wouldn't mind having him at Liverpool. He's an unbelievable player. 5 goals this year so far, and he's done a pretty good job putting in the back of the net, but it's what he does otherwise that really helps this Crystal Palace team. Set up a couple penalties and free kicks as well. He draws 3 fouls a game and creates his own space with 3.5 dribbles successfully completed a game. And that's 3 fouls a game, 3.5 dribbles a game. That's a ton of space for a team like Crystal Palace that plays on the counter attack and they play for set pieces and things. That's 6.5 possibly open spaces, chances that he could create in just that side there. 3 fouls is definitely set pieces. They love those sorts of things, and the ability from set pieces definitely helps them out. And in a team that's toward the bottom half of the table, set pieces are so important. And then successful dribbles, getting them into space. When teams that play on the counter attack, a lot of the time they're 3v3, 4v4, that kind of situation. Getting a successful dribble, beating your man and leaving him for dead will really put the other team in a spot of bother. Torments right backs, and sometimes they switch him over to the other side as well. If anybody watched the Liverpool game, he was a torment to Milner, who is normally pretty sound. Right back may not be his position, but he's definitely sound. He's had a long time at left back. He played a lot at left back last year. Just switched over to the other side for this game, and Zaha tormented him. He was brought down twice for bookings, got Milner sent off, and he was brought down a couple more times as well. He's an absolute menace on that left-hand side. Wan-Bissaka. Now, this is a name not too many people have heard of or hear of at any point, as he doesn't play one of those glamour positions. He plays right back, Crystal Palace, and he's broken into the team very recently, last year, and now he's an absolute staple in this side. Now, they do a lot of defending, Crystal Palace. He's made 25 appearances so far this year, and he's really pushing to be the main man in that back line. Leads the team in tackles, interceptions. He makes more passes than anybody outside of the 2 midfielders and McCarthy and Milivojevic. He's growing in stature every game you see him. He's pacey, he's athletic, he's quite tall for a wingback, 6 foot. And he can get up and down the wing, though Crystal Palace don't really play that sort of football where very often they get up and down the wing with the wingbacks, where they control possession and have that ability. They play more of a counter-attacking, sit back and suck in pressure and then release the forwards kind of play. So he doesn't get his opportunities to really do that, but he's a capable dribbler, a decent passer as well, and he's got a pretty decent cross on him. If he were to go to a big team, he's rumored to be interesting City a little bit, and it won't be long before everybody in the top end there will be looking at someone like Wan-Bissaka. If you feel that once he gets to a big team and he has the space, you feel that he'll really turn into an up and down fullback, a really great fullback. Just let him build on the abilities he has defensively already and athletically, and just let him build on that with an offensive game, you feel that he can turn into one of the best in England. Roberto Pereyra, the Watford midfielder, normally sits behind the striker, can play a little bit deeper back as well. The former Juventus player has really found himself here at Watford. Watford, a pretty decent team. They've got themselves in the top 8 at the moment, and they seem to build and build and build on what they were when they first joined the Premier League after getting promoted from the Championship. Now, they have a bit of money, but they seem to be spending it wisely and moving further and further up the table. And Pereyra, one of those signings from a few years back, 6 goals to his name this year, leads the team. He has a great finish on him. It seems every time you see him score a goal, it just oozes class. He's a great finisher. He sees ton of the ball. Excuse me. Sees plenty of the ball. Has the ability to find the pass. Has the ability to score, and has the ability as well to dribble around. And that sort of player creates tons of chances. He's up there in key passes and chance created. And outside of Deulofeu, has the most successful dribbles of anybody there. And we talked about this earlier on with Zaha. If you create space on the counter-attack and you beat a man here, it really opens up space. The backline sort of panics a bit, and space starts to open up as players start to move about as one player is taken out completely of the game. So it's definitely a very nice trait to have, and it helps Watford create that sort of space. The Deulofeu and Pereyra there on the outside coming in, I mean, it's a lot of pace, a lot of good finishing ability, a lot of creativity. It's tough to deal with. David Brooks, the Bournemouth midfielder. Now this one is really nice to see. At Sheffield United before the summer, he's taken no time whatsoever to adapt his game to the Premier League and has become quickly one of Bournemouth's most influential players. 6 goals and 4 assists on the season already for the 21-year-old, and he's getting right up there toward the top of the team sheet. One of the first names on, I would definitely imagine. He seems to mature every time he comes of age, and if anybody watched the Chelsea game, he dominated that game. 2 goals, grabbed himself an assist as well, I believe, and every time he touched it, Chelsea panicked, and it was unbelievable to watch. A 21-year-old rip this team apart almost single-handedly, and he is fast becoming a big name in the Premier League now. A couple of top clubs interested, Tottenham especially, or rumored to be Tottenham at least, and it won't be long before plenty of other top clubs are looking at him seriously. Joint highest in fouls drawn on the team, creates himself some set pieces, and only being 21, this being his first couple of months in the Premier League, he's definitely got himself a bright future. Ryan Fraser, the Bournemouth player. Bit of a winger here and can also play a little bit inside behind the striker. Not the biggest of players, but he makes up for it with his unbelievable work rate and ability to find space and key passes. Second most assists in the Premier League with 9, joint second with Eriksen. And there's one more player in there, I'm not too sure. All we need to know is that Ryan Fraser has 9, and he's only one back of Eden Hazard, who has 10. Also has himself 5 goals, so 14 goals contributed on the season. And Bournemouth have started a little bit of late, not scoring too many goals. So he did get them in chunks, and he gets them in chunks. And when they play well, he definitely plays well as a result. Rarely mentioned, especially on a team that has a few stars on there that people kind of like. Callum Wilson, who's been rumored to be joining Chelsea or another big club since the summer, really. David Brooks is starting to play really well out there, so he kind of gets lost a little bit. He leads the team in key passes per game at 2.3. Second best on Bournemouth is 1.2. He's really finds himself creating chances all the time. Has a great eye for the passes. We can see wide range, most long passes and crosses attempted on the team, and he can really open things up. He's got a little bit of pace about him, and as we said, he finds space all the time. And when you find space and have the ability to see passes, it's deadly because people are drawn to you, and you let other players run into space, and you have the ability to find them. It creates tons of chances, and it's really working out for Bournemouth. 9 assists as well as 5 goals. Marc Albrighton. Now this is the biggest eye test for me. Now most of these players are definitely eye test, but they also back up with a lot of stats. This one doesn't back up with huge amounts of stats because he doesn't play a huge amount of minutes. 11th on the team in minutes. He has one of the best crosses in the Premier League and a great ability to find a man. Now he doesn't have a ton of minutes, so his stats aren't up there. Contributed to 4 goals, only 6 starts on the season, 14 total games played, and it's because mostly of the way Leicester tend to play games. Now he tends to come on when they're dominant and looking for a way through beyond the counter-attack like Leicester like to play, and he comes on and takes control, swinging in crosses and things of that nature, and he definitely has the best cross in England for me. Him and Trent have some really good crosses, but his is, it is a thing to behold when he swings that ball in. 4 goals, doesn't fit into the, 4 goals, or 4, has a hand in 4 goals. Jesus, can't speak today. Has a hand in 4 goals in 14 games, only 6 starts. It's a pretty decent return for the minutes he's played. 3rd in the team in key passes, and that says a lot considering his minutes are 11th on the team. Creates tons of chances, and it's the crosses that are really nice, and the set pieces as well. But he can also get down that wing and find players in the midfield as well. He's got a pretty good eye on him, but his set pieces and his crosses really set him apart. On a team that doesn't play to his strengths, he's found a way to really help the team out and really put himself in a good position to be an important player. Mark Noble, the West Ham captain, 31 as of right now, probably be the oldest player on this list, seemingly ageless. It's still unbelievable. When I read 31, unbelievable. It seems like he's been around forever, and he's really been around a long time. A very calming presence in that West Ham midfield. May not play as much as he used to a couple years back. There are a couple budding players in there. Declan Rice. They're starting to really come up and be good players in that West Ham midfield, but he still gets his time. 19 appearances on the season. A couple goals, or a couple assists at least. A goal in there as well. Mark Noble is definitely the veteran calming presence there. When he's on the pitch, West Ham are a different team. They're much calmer. Everything seems to relax when he's on the ball. He sees more of the ball than any West Ham player per 90 minutes, and it shows when he's on the field. They just want to get him the ball and just calm everything down. Gini Wijnaldum, the Liverpool midfielder who a lot of people thought would be on the fringes after the summer Liverpool had when they bought in Fabinho and bought in Naby Keita as well, but Wijnaldum has upped his game and stepped into that midfield 3 and almost made himself undroppable in that midfield 3. He's not really a goal scorer. He's only scored not so many, and mostly always at home, but he is definitely missed. And one of the greatest compliments you can give some midfielders is that you notice when they are not there, and Wijnaldum is definitely one of those players. He can dribble, he can definitely pass. He has a 92% passing percentage, completed passing percentage, which is an unbelievable rate. It leads the team in a team that moves the ball around quite a bit. He can dribble, he can make runs from deep. He scored a brilliant goal the other day against Bournemouth, making a run from deep, and that really opens up a lot of play coming forward when midfielders run from deep. They drag center backs, drag wing backs, drag midfielders, and it opens up space for the incredible forwards Liverpool already do have. He's also got an unbelievable work rate that really sets him apart in that midfield. him and Henderson, the work rate sets apart what they may not be able to do, like some older midfielders when it comes to goals. But their pressing, their movement, their ability to be in the right position really sets Liverpool up when they go forward, and it's really the heartbeat right there in the middle of that Liverpool lineup there. And when he wasn't there for a couple weeks there, and Liverpool went on a bit of a skid, it was definitely noticeable. He came back for Bournemouth, and Liverpool play much, much better when he's in the squad. Heung-Min Son, someone I really was close to not putting in this list, mainly because he's been getting a ton of press, and people are starting to really live up to, or really... Heung-Min Son. Almost didn't really put him on this list, as he's starting to have an impact on the national press nowadays. Maybe a year ago or 4 or 5 months ago, this would have been a perfect player for this list, but he's almost outgrown this list a little bit of underrated players. But especially since Kane has left the squad injured, he's been an absolute terror for opposing defenses. 15 appearances on the year. After leaving for a while to go to Asia for the Asia Cup, only 15 appearances, but he's had a hand in 16 goals in those 15 appearances, 11 goals for himself and 5 assists. Absolutely undroppable in that Spurs team right now. He's got a willingness to work, and his attitude is so great. He's always smiling, always pushing forward, always getting everybody up and about. And sometimes Tottenham get in those moods where they seem devoid of ideas and everything kind of slows up, and a lot of times they look to Eriksen, but nowadays they've been looking to Heung-Min Son. Just make a run, just make a good attempted goal, anything to open up space so Christian Eriksen can work. It's really, really coming down to him as of late. Since Kane has left, been on the sideline, it's been all Heung-Min Son. You don't read too much about Eriksen. Eriksen is always going to be world class in that midfield, but Son has been the one on the beneficiary end of Christian Eriksen, grabbing goals, grabbing assists as well. Since he's come back from Asia, 4 goals in 4 games, and in his last 7 games for Tottenham, 6 goals, 3 assists. His form right now is unbelievable, and we're going to keep him on this underrated list just barely, because still a lot of people kind of ignore him, but he's really about to grow off this list very, very soon. Aleksander Mitrovic, Fulham's top scorer by a pretty wide margin. He's got 10, Schürrle's got 6, and Fulham have only scored 25 in the Premier League all year. So he's had 10 of them, a pretty large margin. Also has 2 assists for his own, and he's been scoring goals pretty well. He's up for penalties. He does take the penalties most of the time. Even that game where Kamara took it from him and missed, Mitrovic was the one who scored the goal in the end anyway. He wins 6.5 aerial duels a game, and that is unbelievably impressive against some of these really athletic and really tall center backs nowadays in the Premier League. That's a really great number to be hitting 6.5 aerial duels a game. He wins, and he not takes part of that. He wins. A bully on that front line, and at the moment Fulham are right in that mix to go down, and he's kind of the one keeping them around at the moment. And for the underrated manager, just a little bit of a special I wanted to add on at the end here, because I think he deserves a little bit of recognition every now and again. Chris Hughton, the Brighton manager. Not enough credit gets thrown around sometimes in those mid-table sides or lower mid-table sides like Brighton, but they've come up just a couple years ago, and he's done a brilliant job. Bought them up, and not a lot of managers survive that first 2 or 3 year spell after coming up. A lot of owners panic when you're toward that bottom end of the table, and they fire quickly, or they don't want to hold out and see what's going on. Chris Hughton has endured that and built on it and done a very, very good job. Hughton, he's bought in the right players, Premier League proven players most of the time, And that's a key for a lot of teams that end up going down. Not enough proven Premier League talent bought into the team, and it's kind of happening right now with Huddersfield in their second year, who looks certain to go down. Fulham look certain to go down, or they don't look certain to go down. They look like they might go down as well. Other newly promoted sides as well. Southampton's kind of teetering, but they seem to sell off all their Premier League proven players and bring in not Premier League proven players. It's a very strange situation over there. But Brighton, Houghton has done an unbelievable job, and not enough credit gets given to managers like this. And he's really building a tough team over there. They may not play the prettiest of football, but they really do make them really difficult to beat, and they do win games at home, and they win a lot of tight games against teams lower down the table, and that's what you got to do. And he's created a really good atmosphere over there at Brighton, and he just keep them up one or two more times, and they can really start to build and push up the table a little bit. But Chris Hughton, man, the most underrated manager in the Premier League, I feel. Alright, everybody, I hope you folks have enjoyed the list. Let me know what your list is like in the bottom there. Now, as I said, there's no real order to this. Those are just 10. If I don't really want to pick out an order, it doesn't make a difference to me. We got the 10 players we needed. But guys, I really hope you enjoyed it. As I said, let me know in the comments how you feel, and we'll take a look. Follow me on Twitter as well. Any updates that you get on this channel will come that way. But guys, that's going to be the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more, and peace.